Hello guys, it's me MP back with another video. This time it's regarding a topic related to the movie Godzilla 2014. It's about whether or not the EMP-Nerf really exists. This is a very important topic in the kaiju power scaling community, so I thought of addressing it because there are misconceptions that seriously need to be cleared up. I am making this video to enlighten the power scaling community. Before I start, I would like to credit some of my friends such as Frozen Alligator, Tricky, and Leviathan for helping me out with the arguments and scans for this video. Shout out to them. If it weren't for their help, this video wouldn't have been possible. So with all that said, please enjoy the video. So, ever since the release of Godzilla 2014, there has been an ongoing debate regarding whether or not Godzilla in 2014 was weakened or not. Ways people have made to say he was weakened is that there are statements suggesting the EMP nerfed his power, which was what seriously needed to be addressed. This has been implied in the novel too, and therefore people use it to argue that it should apply to the movie too for some reason. Sadly, the people who believe the EMP nerf exists sadly ignore the fact that novelization contradicts the movie so many times that it might as well be its own spin-off. There are other people who choose to rightfully believe the EMP nerf isn't valid due to the fact that the novelization has too many contradictions from the movie itself, and there are vastly more relevant statements saying Godzilla was at his full power during the events of 2014. This detail has unfortunately been largely overlooked. There are too many contradictions within the novel from the movie. This has generated some intense debate among kaiju power scalers. I am going to go ahead and address the points from both sides. When the analysis on this topic is done, the conclusion on which arguments regarding which is more valid between G14 being weakened and G14 being at full power will be drawn. So with all that said, please enjoy the video, my viewers, because this video is going to get really spicy with the amount of data provided regarding Godzilla power levels during that time. So, people have been saying the EMP nerf is valid based on the fact it was stated in the novel. It states that the MUTO's EMP weakened Godzilla's attacks, and that it should apply to the movie. According to the novel, the MUTOs pressed their attack, ganging up on Godzilla. He staggered backwards down a wide, wrecked boulevard, inflicting yet more damage to the city with every faltering step. His jagged fins scraped against a red granite building, shredding its elegant facade. Gasping for breath, he choked on the swirling smoke and ash, and the volatile gases filling his lungs. He tried to burn it all away, but his hot breath caught in his throat, scalding it. Boiling blood and saliva trickled down his gullet. The male strafed him from above, clawing at Godzilla's head and shoulders. That's not all, but an early script of the movie also says that the EMP nerfed him too. The Famuto sinks huge fangs into his tail. Payback for her mate. Godzilla lets out a pained roar as electricity ripples his body, preventing him from summoning his atomic breath. Honda Prelap. The female is shorting out Gojira's heat release. INT USS Harry S. Truman. TACOPS Center. Day satellite feeds provide partial glimpses of the action. Honda, if they keep him on land long enough, his body could go into meltdown. Seeing how these novels are from Legendary themselves, this means they can be used in scaling the kaijus. Therefore, these statements for G14 being weakened have been used as proof that Godzilla was weakened during the events of 2014 and that he isn't at full power. This argument is based on what was stated in the novel, but there are various issues regarding this argument that I am about to address. Although the novels are from Legendary themselves and are generally considered soft canon, the Godzilla 2014 novel has so many contradictions that it may as well be its own spin-off. The contradictions are so immense it cannot be used at all, to be completely honest. I will be going over the contradictions the novel has from the movie so you can see why there are flaws with the novel. Obviously, the novels are not completely unreliable. They still offer very important lore clues, but it's worth noting they have some contradictions that show that we should be careful with using them. For example, it states that MechaGodzilla was orange, but in reality he was blue. He only became orange when he became Burning Godzilla. We also have a statement from the GXK novel saying King Kong punched Shimo, but we can watch their fight and you will see that never happened. Similarly, EMP and what it does to Godzilla has always been contradictory. The novelization, which contradicts the movie so many times that it might as well be its own spin-off, says that it prevents him from using his atomic breath. Not only that, but an early script of the movie also says that it prevents him from using his atomic breath. But this is contradictory since we see him use it. Just look at this scene, he's literally using his atomic breath, even though the novel stated it supposedly prevents him from doing that. Once again, this just disproves the novel's words. If Godzilla was seen firing his atomic breath in the movie, and the supposed EMP-Nerf prevented him from doing it in the novel, that just proves the EMP-Nerf never really existed, since that would be contradictory. And the fact Fumuto has a passive 5-mile EMP, which is stated plus shown, this means he shouldn't be able to use it all. But Gareth says the reason he never used his breath until the end was because it's a very depleting attack.
You know, they're like the plates, they kind of like diffuse the heat, I guess, from what's going on, like two chemicals, I guess, mixing together that kind of flow up his back, up his spine, and you see them fill up in the idea is they fill up in the spine. So it's like as the chemical is growing up his back, his fins start to glow until they reach his head, and then he's like full, you know, he has like a full load, and and the idea is that when he uses his breath, the fins die out, like as if that chemical is getting sprayed out of his mouth. The fins die out from the back of the tail up to his head, and until he's empty. Because we needed to kind of, I mean, I don't know if anyone noticed this when they watched the film, but the justification is we needed to somehow imply why he just doesn't do this all the time. It's that kind of Batman utility belt problem of, you know, why didn't he just use that at the beginning? And so the concept is a bit like, you know, it's a bit like a guy in that, you know, he needs to have a rest before he can do it again, kind of thing. And
he can't just spam it because he doesn't have the energy for it. Plus, the guidebook states the Muto's EMP weakens Godzilla, but never says how. Vague. The same guidebook also says Fumuto has a 5-mile passive EMP. Credits to Leviathan for this argument, by the way. Moreover, an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP for short, does not directly weaken or stop the physical process of Cherenkov radiation, which is caused by charged particles traveling faster than light in a medium. However, an intense EMP could potentially disrupt, damage, or induce currents in the electronic monitoring systems used to detect or measure this light, making it appear as though the phenomenon is interrupted. EMP does not even have the ability to nerf radiation. EMP only nerfs electricity, and electricity is very different from radiation. Godzilla's attacks are radiation, which means that his attacks wouldn't be nerfed by the EMP, because again, EMP cannot nerf radiation. Credits to Frozen Alligator for this argument. Now, before you bring up how his atomic breath looks, Gareth Edwards stated the atomic breath shape was only a VFX choice. The creators of G14 wanted a choice of realism, like a flamethrower of radiation, rather than a concentrated laser beam. It's called visual preference and choice. You can also look at the beam he fired down the Fumuto's throat, and you can see it looks similar to the beam G21 used to blast through the hollow earth. We can also look at G19's beam from Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Like G14's atomic breath, it looks like fire and does not look concentrated, so this proves the atomic breath shape is just for aesthetics, not that it's related to Godzilla's power. By that logic, energized Godzilla is above evolved Godzilla because he glows more. But we know it was directly stated that evolved is 2 times more powerful than energized. So this just disproves visuals being a way to determine power. And if you say, but MechaGodzilla's atomic breath couldn't damage the female Muto, please shut the fuck up. That would only upscale the Muto's durability, since that's how basic power scaling works. The Mutos were adapted to kill Godzilla's species, so using the female Muto surviving Godzilla's atomic breath to prove Godzilla was weakened in the film is just stupid. Plus, the female Muto literally died when the same atomic breath was fired down her mouth, so there is that. There are no feats to prove that G14 was weakened, so it's safe to say G14 failing to one-shot the Muto upscales her durability, not downscales his atomic breath. By the way, there are even statements contradicting the EMP-Nerf being valid, which is something that can't just be ignored. For example, we have that statement which disproves the claim that G14 is weakened. It's in Japanese, but it says this in English. Godzilla Gozira Erchenshi playback. In 1999, a mysterious incident occurs at the Janjira nuclear power plant in the Philippines, where an earthquake-like event exposes a gigantic, unidentified organism resembling a massive prehistoric creature. Shortly afterward, radiation leaks are detected, and the facility is shut down under the explanation of an accident. Years later, scientist Joe Brody becomes convinced that the incident was not a natural disaster, but the emergence of an unknown life form feeding on radiation. His son, Ford Brody, now an explosives disposal officer for the U.S. Navy, reunites with him as similar seismic disturbances begin appearing around the world. These events reveal the existence of massive organisms known as MUTOs, creatures that absorb nuclear energy to sustain themselves and reproduce. As the MUTOs move toward highly populated areas, eventually converging on San Francisco, their path of destruction escalates into a global crisis. In response, Godzilla, an ancient alpha predator that has existed since prehistoric times, awakens and begins moving toward the same locations. Godzilla is revealed not as humanity's enemy, but as a balancing force of nature, instinctively driven to eliminate threats that disrupt the natural order. The final confrontation occurs in San Francisco, where Godzilla battles the male and female MUTOs in a catastrophic clash. After a brutal struggle, Godzilla succeeds in defeating them, restoring balance, and then retreats back into the ocean. Humanity survives, but is left with the realization that Godzilla is not a savior acting out of goodwill, nor a destroyer acting out of malice. He is simply a force of nature. This basically shows that he was preparing for the fight with the MUTOs, so he was getting stronger and stronger. Plus, he was resting and absorbing, which is what he does when he's not fighting. Also being nuked and shit multiple times in the 50s, and after amped him even more to grow stronger on top of his own absorption. You wouldn't go into a fight weakened, knowing your enemy can kill you even at your strongest. We also have this scan stating Godzilla is a very powerful creature. This statement directly contradicts the claim he was weakened because he wouldn't be considered powerful if he was truly nerfed by the EMP. This once again shows that the EMP nerf doesn't really exist and that it's just a feature from the novel, which is vastly different from the movie. Also, we have a statement literally confirming G14 absorbed the same energy from thousands of years ago, meaning he would have definitely been at full power during the events of the MUTO fight. This once again disproves the claim that Godzilla 2014 was weakened. It was even stated that Godzilla's atomic breath is filled with energy that he absorbed from the hollow earth, which once again further solidified the claim that he was at full power and that he wasn't weakened. Moreover, there are actually more scans for this G14 being at full power, but at the same time, my friend Tricky is sadly keeping them private. If these scans go to the wrong hands, some people will try to debunk them, which is why keeping them private is best. And even if I had these scans, Tricky would murder me for sharing them. Credits to Tricky for the arguments and scans I presented, by the way. He helped me out with this video, and so did Leviathan and Frozen Alligator. So, in summary, although a part 2 may come out, The arguments for the EMP Nerf existing are pretty unreliable. They come from a source that literally contradicts itself, and we have more consistent statements saying he was at full power. But let's remember that this is just part 1. I might make part 2 soon at some point. But as it stands, the fact Godzilla wasn't weakened in the G14 movie actually makes it a good way to rep the Mutos. I may make a video scaling the G14 cast, which includes Aftershock and Awakening soon, sometime after this series ends, but that's for a later video. The arguments supporting the EMP Nerf are still hollow, though. Before I end this video, I would like to say that I am going to make a debunk video on MechaGodzilla's scaling because he is very weak, far weaker than I previously thought. I used to think he was so strong, but I changed my mind. I have him below base King Kong, but again, that will be addressed in my upcoming video. What we know for sure is that G14 would one-shot MechaGodzilla, and no excuse will change that. G14 fought on par with the Muto Prime, and this same Muto Prime was confirmed to be capable of one-shotting MechaGodzilla. But again, this will be addressed in my MechaGodzilla debunk video and G14 cast scaling video. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I spent effort into editing and scripting this video, and I would like to shout out the channels of the people who helped me out with this video, so I linked their channels in the description. So with all that said, have peace and have a good day, people. Hopefully I will come back with more content, but for now, peace and goodbye, people.
Que obre un milagro, oye tus plegarias y manda al gran escuadrón. El Megalodon, se coma ese señor. El Megalodon, se coma ese señor. El Megalodon, se coma tu familia. El Megalodon, que muere con dolor. El Megalodon.